All right, people ask me a lot, why are you so passionate about health, fitness, and fasting? Well, let's talk about something that unfortunately it gets swept under the rug way too often because it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about. It's the reality of what being overweight and obesity is doing to our country. Right now, 4 out of 10 American adults, 4 out of 10 are clinically obese. If you add in everybody who's overweight, what happens to that number? It spikes to over 72% of the population. This is insane. This is not a cosmetic issue. It is not a lack of willpower. The medical community officially recognizes obesity as a chronic multi-system disease. It's an epidemic that is actively shortening our lifespans. The physical toll of carrying all this extra weight is devastating to the human body. When you look at the diseases that are directly driven by obesity, and you know some of them, type 2 diabetes is right at the top. The constant metabolic strain, this impairs, we talk about it all the time, impairs insulin function, which creates a destructive cycle of high blood sugar. It's also a primary driver of cardiovascular disease. The excess fatty tissue, it forces the heart to actually work exponentially harder. And this damages blood vessels and it drastically increases the risk of strokes and heart attacks. Even our joints are falling under the literal mechanical stress, leading to premature osteoarthritis and chronic pain. And what does this happen? What do? It strips away your basic mobility. Never mind the emotional and psychological impacts, and they are just as severe, although a lot of times they're rarely given the attention they deserve. People living with obesity face relentless societal stigma, bias, and isolation based. This is on a daily basis. The constant pressure this creates is a profound psychological burden, and it often leads to high rates of severe anxiety and clinical depression. This is heartbreaking. It alters how a person experiences life in general, turning everyday activities into sources of stress, into it diminishes their entire quality of life. We'll put it that way. This crisis, unfortunately, it touches almost every single American family. Understanding the deep physical and emotional reality of this disease is really the first step towards changing the narrative and finding real sustainable solutions. That's why I am such a strong proponent of restrictive eating, intermittent fasting. It changes everything. There's so many crash diets that are not healthy for you. There's diets which eliminate an entire food group. Again, this may not be best for your health. There are drugs out there, but time restrictive eating hits so many points in such a simple way. You don't feel deprived. You're not missing out on certain macronutrients or food groups. You are enjoying what you eat, but you're just taking your food and dividing it into 2 meals instead of grazing throughout the day, and then slowly decreasing that eating window. And by proxy, you're going to also decrease what you eat because you're not going to be as hungry. So this is huge. That is why I am such a big fan of fasting. That's why I teach it. That's why I live it. That's why I have in my profile, there are resources there, free resources. Paid ones too. My book is an amazing resource, but there are resources there to help you get started. That's why I make these videos, because I want people to be healthier. And this is something that is such a weight, no pun intended, on society, on Americans in general. And I really want to see this change. I'm doing my part here to try to help you, but I can't care about your health more than you do. So you need to take the first step. I've put the information out there. There's information everywhere. There's so many great sources, but please hone in on one and implement. This can literally change the quality of your life and the way you live your life. Please don't wait any longer. Jump on this.